Be careful what you dream, because the dream will demand something from you. It won't just show up wrapped in a bow. It won't just fall in your lap because you closed your eyes and whispered it into the dark. Dreams don't respond to hope. They respond to heat. They come alive when you show up. Not just excited, but prepared. Not just hungry, but disciplined. Not just inspired, but committed. And here's the part most people never tell you. Your dream will cost you. It will cost you your comfort. It will cost you your old life. It will cost you the version of you that thought average was enough. Because a real dream, a God-sized dream, doesn't just require more of the world. It requires more of you. We love to dream. We love to talk about purpose, about calling, about destiny. We love vision boards and Pinterest quotes and saying, one day, I'll have that. But here's the thing. Dreams are dangerous if you're not ready for them. Because a dream can lift you or it can crush you, depending on what it finds inside you. You can dream about standing on the stage, but can you handle the silence before it? You can dream about reaching millions, but can you stay faithful when no one's watching? You can dream about success, but are you willing to become the version of yourself who can carry it? Because your dream isn't waiting on permission, it's waiting on transformation. That's why you've got to be careful what you dream. Because once the dream gets real, the pressure gets real too. The process gets heavy. The lessons get deeper. The pruning gets painful. God doesn't just hand you the dream, He builds you for the dream. And that building isn't always glamorous. It's not always exciting. It doesn't always come with applause. Sometimes it comes with isolation. Sometimes it comes with rejection. Sometimes it comes with delay after delay, not to punish you, but to prepare you. Because what good is it to reach the destination if you're not strong enough to stay there? See, everybody wants the outcome, but nobody wants the obedience. Everybody wants the fruit, but not the soil, not the shoveling, not the quiet, dirty work that no one sees. But that's where the dream is formed, not on the mountaintop, but in the midnight hour, in the moments where you want to quit, but you keep going, in the moments where doubt screams louder than faith, but you speak the truth anyway, in the silence where God's voice is the only thing keeping you upright. That's where the dream gets tested. That's where it gets refined. That's where you discover whether it's a dream from your ego or a dream from your calling. You've got to ask yourself, why do I want this? Is it just for me? Is it just to prove a point? Is it just to show the world what I can do? Or is it rooted in something deeper? Because if your dream is built on revenge, it'll never bring peace. If it's built on insecurity, it'll never feel like enough. But if it's built on purpose, on service, on something higher than applause, now you're walking in power. Now you're building something eternal. But that kind of dream takes more than motivation. It takes maturity. It takes moments where God strips everything that doesn't belong. He'll break your pride. He'll humble your heart. He'll slow you down, not to delay you, but to align you. Because the dream you want might not be the dream He gave. And sometimes you don't know the difference until He lets it fall apart. Be careful what you dream, because God will hold you accountable for it. You think the dream is just a hope, just a fantasy, just a vision you casually carry in the back of your mind, but God sees it as a responsibility. He gave it to you, not them, not your friends, not your circle. You. He whispered that purpose into you for a reason. And with that dream comes expectation, not pressure, but purpose, not stress, but stewardship. If God trusted you with that dream, then He's already equipped you to walk it out. But you've got to show up for it. You've got to stop treating it like an option and start treating it like an assignment. That's why dreaming is dangerous. Because once you say, "This is what I was born to do," now the work begins. Now the pruning starts. Now the tests come in. See, it's easy to dream when it's comfortable. It's easy to speak vision when the sun's shining and everything feels possible. But can you still dream in the dark? Can you still move when nothing's moving around you? Can you still believe when the doors stay closed, when the phone stays silent, when the crowd disappears? Because that's when God does his deepest work. Not when everything's flowing, but when your faith is all you've got left. That's when the dream stops being a wish and starts becoming a walk. And you better believe that walk will stretch you. It'll pull you past your pride. It'll pull you past your laziness. It'll pull you past the part of you that wanted to stay safe. You'll lose people. You'll lose habits. You'll lose some comfort. But you'll gain something far more valuable. You'll gain alignment. You'll gain purpose. You'll gain clarity. And when the dream finally starts to take shape, you won't just be ready for it, you'll become it. You'll look in the mirror and realize, this isn't just what I do anymore. This is who I am now. But be warned, the higher the dream, the deeper the testing. God won't let you walk into something that could destroy you. He loves you too much for that. So if he's delaying the dream, it's not because he's forgotten. It's because he's forming you from the inside out. And most people can't handle that. Most people abort the process and settle for a counterfeit version of the dream. They take shortcuts. They compromise. They build something that looks like success, but feels like a trap. And then they wonder why they still feel lost, even while winning. Because they built the image, but not the integrity. That's why you've got to be careful what you dream, because God might just give it to you. And if you're not ready, it'll crush you instead of crown you. It'll overwhelm you instead of anoint you. But if you are ready, if you're walking with him, trusting him, growing with him, then when the dream comes, you'll walk in it with strength. You'll walk in it with peace. You'll walk in it knowing, I was built for this. I was broken for this. I was trained for this. I was called for this. And you'll stop needing people to clap. You'll stop waiting for the world to approve. Because now the dream isn't about proving. It's about pouring. Pouring into others. Pouring into purpose. Pouring into something that outlives you. Because the dream isn't the destination. It's the vehicle. The real reward is who you become while walking it out. Be careful what you dream, because when it starts coming true, it's going to demand all of you. Not the version of you that shows up when it's convenient. Not the version of you that only works hard when people are watching. The dream is going to ask for the version of you that nobody sees. The version that trains in the dark. The version that doesn't quit when it gets quiet. The version that doesn't fold under pressure, but grows from it. And let me tell you, when that moment comes, when the doors you prayed for finally open, the question won't be, did you dream big? The question will be, did you prepare well? Did you stay faithful when no one clapped for you? Did you build the habits, the character, the humility, the endurance required to stay in the place you asked for? Because the dream is a door, but what keeps you inside is discipline. The dream is a spark, but what makes it burn is daily effort. You don't stumble into your calling by chance. You step into it because you built the strength to carry it. And that kind of strength doesn't come from motivation. It comes from obedience. It comes from showing up when it's hard. It comes from surrendering your timeline to God's plan. It comes from trusting that even when it doesn't make sense, it's still making you stronger. The dream tests what you believe. It tests what you're anchored in. Because if you're anchored in applause, the silence will break you. If you're anchored in ego, the pressure will crush you. But if you're anchored in purpose, the storms won't stop you. They'll shape you. So be careful what you dream. Not because dreaming is dangerous, but because dreaming without direction is. You can dream about the spotlight, but are you ready for the shadows that come with it? You can dream about impact, but are you willing to be invisible while you prepare for it? You can dream about leading others, but are you letting God lead you first? Because dreams without God become burdens, but dreams with God become assignments, anointed, sustained, and protected by something greater than you. And sometimes, when the dream feels far, when the delays hit hard, when the rejection stings deep, it's easy to start doubting whether the dream was real in the first place. But don't you dare let delay convince you that your dream is dead. Don't you let the silence make you walk away. God doesn't tease. He doesn't show you the mountain if he didn't build you to climb it. But he will test whether your faith is in the mountain or in him. He will test if you're chasing the dream or following his voice. Because sometimes the dream will change. Sometimes what you thought was the dream was just the doorway. Sometimes he'll shift your path, not to confuse you, but to refine you. And when that happens, when the dream gets flipped upside down, don't panic. Don't resist. Don't cling to the old just because it's familiar. Trust that God's version is better than yours. Trust that if he allowed the thing you wanted to fall apart, it's because something stronger, deeper, more eternal is on the way. Dreams are good, but destiny, that's holy. And when your dream collides with your destiny, you'll realize this isn't about me getting what I want. This is about becoming who I was born to be. Be careful what you dream, because sometimes your dream is disguised as a burden. Sometimes it shows up not as a blessing, but as a battle. It comes dressed in sweat, in stress, in struggle. And if you don't recognize what it is, you'll call it failure when it's actually formation. See, God's process doesn't always look like progress. Sometimes he gives you the dream in seed form and watches what you do with it in the soil of your life. And the soil doesn't feel like celebration. It feels like crushing. It feels like isolation. It feels like unanswered prayers. But what feels like breaking is actually building. It's God saying, let me see if you still want it when it costs you. Let me see if you'll still trust me when it hurts. Let me see if the dream is rooted in faith or just fantasy. You can't pray for greatness and expect comfort. You can't pray for purpose and avoid pressure. You can't say, God, use me, and then run when the fire comes. Because the fire isn't to destroy you. It's to refine you. It's to burn away what can't go with you. It's to strengthen the parts of you that need to lead when the dream starts expanding. And if you really want what you say you want, you've got to be willing to walk through that fire with your head high and your hands lifted. Not in surrender to fear, but in surrender to God's will. Because he's not just trying to get you to the dream, he's trying to transform you on the way there. And transformation takes sacrifice. Sacrificing your comfort zone. Sacrificing the opinions of people who don't understand your assignment. Sacrificing your timeline. Because God's dream won't always move on your schedule. It won't always look like what you pictured. But if you stay faithful, if you stay focused, if you stay planted, the fruit will come, the vision will speak, the doors will open, not because you forced them, but because you grew into the version of you who could walk through them. But hear me, it's not enough to dream. You've got to do. You've got to act. You've got to get out of your head and into your assignment. Because some people die with dreams still inside them, not because they didn't dream big, but because they never had the discipline to live it out. Dreamers are plenty. Finishers are few. So be careful what you dream, because if you're serious about it, God will start requiring more of you. more honesty, more prayer, more discipline, more healing, more letting go of what you thought you needed so he can give you what you actually need. And sometimes that dream, it'll stretch you to the edge. It'll humble you. It'll make you confront the parts of you that are still wounded, still afraid, still playing small. Because the dream is not just about what you'll do, it's about who you'll become. And who you'll become can't stay hidden behind comfort, ego, or pride. It has to come through the wilderness, through the resistance, through the days when nothing is working and all you have is your faith. That's when the real dream starts to take root. That's when you stop being a wishful thinker and start being a faithful builder. Be careful what you dream, because eventually the dream is going to demand that you let go of your excuses. It's going to shine a light on the patterns, the fears, and the habits that have kept you small. You can't walk into destiny holding hands with your distractions. You can't carry old thinking into new territory. You can't pray for elevation and still operate like a person who's afraid of heights. The dream will confront you. It'll ask, do you really want this? Or do you just like the idea of it? Because dreaming feels good. It's romantic. It gives you a sense of hope. But fulfilling a dream, that's where the real cost comes in. That's where you have to make hard decisions. That's where your faith has to grow legs and your work ethic has to bleed. See, the world loves dreamers. We celebrate vision. We quote ambition. But nobody talks about the nights where you sit alone wondering if you heard God right. The mornings you wake up and the passion is gone, but the responsibility is still there. The seasons where you pour out and nobody pours back. The times when what you're building looks like it's falling apart, but something in your spirit won't let you quit. That's the real weight of a dream. It's not glamorous, it's not pretty, it's not packaged for Instagram, but it's holy, it's sacred. And if you walk with God through it, it will not only change your life, it will change you. But understand this, the dream is not the reward. The person you become through the process, that's the reward. The resilience you gain, the faith you build, the obedience you walk in, that's the real win. Because anybody can catch a vision, anybody can feel inspired, but not everybody will submit to the process. The process will strip you down. It will detox your soul. It will reveal who you are when no one's clapping and no one's calling your name. And that's the part where most people quit. Not because the dream wasn't real, but because they weren't ready to surrender who they were, to become who they're called to be. So be careful what you dream, because once you say yes to it, the pressure turns personal. It's no longer about just chasing something big. It's about becoming someone different, someone bold, someone refined, someone dangerous to fear, to doubt, to compromise. Someone who doesn't need the world's approval because they're already stamped by heaven. That's what the dream is really after. Not the platform, not the profit, not the praise. It's after your becoming. And here's the thing. When you walk with God, He'll start expanding your dream beyond your imagination. He'll stretch it. He'll deepen it. He'll take you places you didn't even pray for. But He won't do it until you let go of the version of the dream that's built on your control. That version where everything goes your way, where it all happens fast, where there's no discomfort, no delays, no deep heart work. God's not in that dream. He's in the one that refines you, the one that strengthens you, the one that demands you grow. Be careful what you dream, because the deeper your dream goes, the more obedience it will require. You can't walk in purpose if you still live for preference. You can't fulfill a calling if you're still addicted to convenience. There will come a point in your journey where God will test whether the dream still belongs to Him or if you've made it about you. And he will do it quietly, not with a thunderclap, but with a whisper. He'll ask you to give up something you thought you needed. He'll ask you to trust him with a door you worked hard to open. He'll ask you to keep going when it doesn't look like anything is working. And in that moment, you'll realize the dream is not just a destination. It's a covenant. It's you saying, God, whatever this dream becomes, let it glorify you. Let it refine me. Let it reach others, not just elevate me. Because if the dream starts and ends with you, it's too small. Real dreams, God-breathed dreams, are never just for your comfort. They're for your contribution. They're for your character. They're for your calling. And when you truly understand that, everything shifts. You stop trying to rush the process. You stop comparing your pace to someone else's path. You stop begging for shortcuts. You start asking for strength. You start praying for wisdom. You start moving with purpose. And purpose doesn't panic. Purpose doesn't rush. Purpose doesn't live for applause. Purpose listens. It waits. It obeys, even when it hurts. Especially when it hurts. Because the dream will test your patience, but it's the process that builds your power. That process is where God trains your discernment. That's where he teaches you to walk by faith, not by sight. That's where he strips away your fear, layer by layer. Because he's not just giving you a platform, he's building a person. And that person can't be built without the fire of rejection, the fire of discipline, the fire of loneliness, the fire of silence. But that fire, it doesn't come to burn you, it comes to forge you. And when you come out of that fire, you're different. You're not desperate for attention. You're not shaken by doubt. You're not motivated by ego. You're steady. You're focused. You're aligned. You're not chasing moments. You're building momentum. You're not looking for easy. You're walking in eternal. That's what happens when you let God breathe on your dream. He'll take it, stretch it, and turn it into something so much bigger than what you pictured. But first, he'll ask for all of you. Not just your hustle, but your heart. Not just your goals, but your obedience. So be careful what you dream. Because if it's real, if it's from heaven, it will break you open before it builds you up. And that breaking is not punishment. It's preparation. Because you can't carry divine weight with fragile faith. You've got to be solid. You've got to be rooted. And that only happens when you stop treating the dream like an event and start treating it like a responsibility. Be careful what you dream, because if it's a real dream, if it's a God dream, it's not going to let you stay the same. It's not going to let you stay bitter. It's not going to let you keep running. It's going to pull you forward. It's going to expose the areas you've been avoiding. It's going to test your humility, your patience, your resilience, your dependence on God. And that's exactly why you must not ignore it. Because God didn't place that fire in your spirit to tease you. He placed it there to lead you. He placed it there to wake you up, to pull you into something bigger than a paycheck, bigger than applause, bigger than a title. He placed it there so your life wouldn't just be lived, it would be used. See, when you really start walking in your dream, you stop performing. You stop begging people to believe in you. You stop chasing validation because you know who sent you. You know what you carry. You walk into rooms not needing a seat at the table, but knowing you are the table. And your presence doesn't come from ego. It comes from alignment. It comes from obedience. It comes from years in the dark, years in the fire, years on your knees saying, God, I don't want to do this without you. If you're not in it, I don't want it. That's what it means to carry a dream that matters. It means you're not just trying to arrive, you're trying to transform. You're trying to leave something that lasts. You're trying to move differently, talk differently, love differently. You want your dream to be a ministry, not a monument. something that serves, not just shines, something that reflects God, not just your name. That's legacy. That's weight. And that's why you can't afford to treat your dream like a hobby. It's sacred. It's personal. It's a calling, not a convenience. So now, the decision is yours. Are you going to dream, or are you going to do? Are you going to keep talking about it, or are you going to start living like it's already yours? Because God already approved it. He already made provision for it. But He's waiting to see, will you mature into it? Will you stay faithful in the silence? Will you build when no one's looking? Will you keep showing up when everything in you wants to quit? Because that's what separates dreamers from doers, vision from victory, hope from harvest. So be careful what you dream, not because it might not come true, but because it just might. And if it does, you better be the kind of person who can handle the weight, who can carry the oil, who can lead with integrity, who can walk in rooms with power and still bow before God in private, who doesn't lose their character chasing clout, who doesn't sell their soul chasing exposure, who doesn't forget that the dream isn't about proving anyone wrong, it's about proving God right. And in the end, when you've walked the road, when you've fought the battles, when you've built what they said couldn't be done, and lived the life you once only imagined, may you be able to say, I didn't just chase a dream, I followed a calling. I didn't just run after success, I walked in obedience. I didn't build this alone. I walked with God, and He brought the dream to life. That's the dream worth dreaming. That's the dream worth becoming. And that's the dream you were made for. If you made it this far, drop 100 in the comments, so I know you're part of the 1% who's serious about growth.